Truth Gazette here in Tuscaloosa, Alabama, with former White House Communications Director under President Trump and author of the recently released book, Trump, the Blue Collar President, Mr. Anthony Scaramucci. Thank you so much for joining us.
Great to be here. Real honor.
Well, thank you so much.
Congratulations on everything you're doing.
Thank you so much. It's an honor to have you here. Big fan of you, so thank you so much. Let's go ahead and get started. As a former member of the Trump administration, what is your response to the Mueller report finding no collusion in the 2016 elections?
Well, it's certainly not surprising to me that they found no collusion because I was on the campaign, didn't see any collusion. I was on the president's executive transition team, didn't see any collusion. I always thought that that aspect of the thing was nonsensical. So the fact that they found that there was no collusion, I think, gives you faith in the system. That yes, it was arduous and yes, it was painful for the president to go through, but I'm glad it's over.
And speaking of the 2016 elections, President Trump shocked the world by beating a career politician at her own game. What do you think the president needs to do to win again in 2020?
Well, there's a number of different things. The game is going to change again, and so I don't see too many people on that playing field right now that can beat the president, but you have to remember he has the strength of the economy behind him right now. If the economy starts to falter, then it becomes harder for becoming president. So my best advice to the president is, stylistically, if he toned it down just a little, his approval rating shoot up. Anytime the president is talking the way he did in the State of the Union address, as an example, his poll ratings go up. And so we need to get those poll ratings up with American women that are voting eligible. And so the only thing I would say with the president, the content, the policies, all that stuff has been absolutely great for America. If he just tones down the style a little bit, he'll win a resounding landslide election.
With the recent election addition of new members to the Democratic Party, what are your thoughts on how the millennial representatives will impact the Democratic Party run by the old school traditional representatives?
Well, I think the millennials are already impacting them. I think people like AOC or Representative Omar are already having an impact. I don't think the country is ready for that far left leaning sort of stuff. So it's sort of like they will be accomplices. Ocasio-Cortez and Representative Omar, those two representatives will be accomplices in a Trump re-election victory because the average American looks at the two of them and says, okay, we don't want that in our country. So it will sort of fortify the participation on the side of President Trump.
In President Trump's recent State of the Union address, he said, quote, America will never be a socialist country. Sadly, some Democrats are running on the principles of socialism. What do you think we can do as Americans to fight back against socialism?
Well, I think the number one thing we need to do, though, is work on policies that create tremendous amounts of opportunity. So we'll never have equal outcomes in a society. You know that, I know that. Anybody that studies socialism knows that it's a failed system. It never works. It's just so against human nature and the incentives of a human being. So it's a fool's gold, socialism. That's for people that feel economically desperate. Those people are seeking power. People like you and I would be seeking to serve. There's a very big difference between somebody that wants to rule and somebody who wants to serve. So when I hear socialist nonsense, it's usually based on trying to provide something of a free lunch as an incentivization to galvanize your own politics. And the truth of the matter is it's against the natural law of a society. So what we need to do on our side is create more opportunity. We need to be focused on policies that create equal opportunity regardless of race, national origin, all those different things. No matter where you grow up, you should get a good education. Those are things that we can do at the governmental level to prevent socialism.
With the current debate over border security, what advice would you give to the president? How do you think this will impact the 2020 elections?
Well, the advice I would give to the president is stuff that he's already doing. He knows and he wants to cut a deal on the DACA. He tried to cut a deal on DACA pre-midterm election. They wouldn't let him do it because they wanted to carry that with him as a torch into the midterm election. So the president's a deal maker. He'll cut a deal, and he'll cut a fair deal. And so I think the way he's pushing on the notion of illegal immigration and border security will cause an eventual bridging of the divide. So I would tell the president to stay the course.
It is clear that the mainstream media isn't getting it more conservative. So what do conservatives do to have voice in the mainstream media?
Well, I mean, I think in some ways there's a little bit of a residual reversal. So there's so many biased people in the media, so many opinionated and liberal people in the media that it's having a reverse effect. And if you look at these college campuses as an example, most of the professors are liberal, yet when kids are graduating, about 50% of them are conservative. And so that's telling you that you can tell somebody a lie in a free society about how things work, and they don't necessarily buy into it. So I'm pretty optimistic about our cause over the next 25, 50 years, especially given the fact that you're so young and you're going to be my pick to be president someday. So I'm not worried about the country when I meet people like you.
Well, thank you so much. That's an honor. Judge Jeanine Pirro recently made headlines when suspended from Fox News over what many call a First Amendment freedom of speech issue. What are your thoughts on freedom of speech and the veto?
Well, I certainly love Judge Jeanine. I was on her show last Saturday night. I was obviously a supporter of hers to get her back on the air. We're very close to each other, and I certainly think that she has the right to give her opinion. But I also, frankly, believe that the other people do as well. I'll be publishing an article on my opinion of free speech in the Hill next Sunday. And basically, what I'm articulating is that the central core principles of our free and fair society is freedom of the press. At the end of the day, people that are in power have to be held accountable by the people that are in the press. Now, unfortunately, some of these people are dishonest and will shade their stories. That's upsetting to the president. But we have to accept a free and fair press as an appropriate check and balance on the potentiality of tyranny. So I always caution the president on this. I think we have to be people that even though we don't agree with these people, and trust me, I've been lit up by the press. When I got fired from the White House, they lit me up on late night comedy. They wrote very nasty editorials about me, and a lot of stories that were untrue. In fact, one story that was written about me that was so untrue, 3 CNN journalists got fired because of it. So I think I have good standing to talk about this. Despite all of that happening to me, I accept it, and I think that the president would do a service to himself if he just dialed back a little bit, ended the war declaration on the media. I get the point that he's making, but we need to win moderates and we need to win independents in the 2020 re-election, and I certainly want to see the president re-elected. And so I would caution him there, and I would ask him to let it go a little bit.
And to end today's interview, what advice would you give to a young conservative journalist like me interested in making a difference in the world?
Well, I would say 3 things to you. You're obviously doing something that you love, so you want to stay doing it. Number 2, you strike me as a fearless person. It's easy to be fearless when you're young, but as you start to get responsibility in life, you can sometimes have a tendency to be fearful. Don't let that happen to you. Stay fearless. And then the third thing I would say is, pursue that dream as aggressively as you're doing right now. So pick a great school that you want to go to, target yourself for your career, and if things go wrong, which unfortunately in our lifetimes they have a tendency to do that, you have to take it in stride. If you can do those 3 things, you're going to be phenomenally successful, and I predict you'll have a 100-year career the way you're going.
Well, thank you so much. Mr. Scaramucci, thank you so much for